All right, well, this is R.J. Abeytia here with Jim Rutter on the Stanford postgame report for the Bootleg. Stanford came out, they took care of business, they beat Army. Is there that much to say about it, though?
Well, not much to complain about, that's for sure, RJ. We're looking at a top 15 team in Stanford, probably higher than that, going up against a team that, notably doesn't have a varied offense. I think we went well into the third quarter before they got into double digits for passing yardage. This was not a team that was going to threaten the Cardinal today. It was pretty readily apparent early on. You don't want to disrespect the United States Military Academy under any circumstances, but when it came to matching up today on the football field, it really wasn't a fair fight.
No, I think number one good thing that you want to talk about is nobody got hurt today. You always want to get through a game on both sides, of course, but from the Stanford point of view, everyone got to play, no one got hurt. That's number one priority when you're talking about getting through a game like this.
Well, I do think there was a stinger. There was a stinger, and that sting was pride for the Black Knights as they had a little trouble mounting much of an assault on the scoreboard. For us, for Stanford fans, what we were looking for some improvement in the red zone with our skill players. We got Kevin Hogan, our veteran quarterback, came out with 4 touchdown passes. Devin Kajus with 3 of those to open up the scoring, and it was one of those games where you really don't have a great deal of satisfaction other than that we executed well. Chance to take some of the pressure off the team going into bye week, and then the season starts in serious fashion after that.
Yeah, it gets real in 2 weeks. First road game, first conference road game. I think a couple things, though, that got shown today that I think we can say worth considering. Number one, I thought the runners looked a lot more comfortable running between the tackles today. I thought Sanders looked comfortable. Even if you take away his big 44-yard run, he averaged 6 yards a carry on the rest of his carries. Young looked a lot more comfortable. And you know what? If we're going to complain about the red zone the week before, we've got to at least say they were in there 3 times. They scored 3 touchdowns today. No Jordan Williamson field goal attempts today.
Right, and it was what it was. We didn't have a lot of key moments. You can't point to a lot of drama in this particular game. We got what we wanted to get from our defense. This Stanford defense, I know it's Army, and I know we've played Davis, but now in 3 games we have surrendered a grand total of 13 points. And that, by any measure, is an outstanding effort on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, especially because that middle game was certainly not against an Army or a UC Davis. That was against a legitimate offensive team. And, we all just kind of assumed you're losing all these guys, you're losing Scove, you're losing Murphy, you're losing Morrow, you're losing Gardner. But frankly, this defense up to this point has given no indication that they intend to take a step back.
Right, and you could argue we should be getting a few more turnovers, but the offense today didn't need the help. They were moving the ball. We still had over 400 yards of offense, held the other team under 200. We had almost 200 yards of rushing. There's 198 or something like that. So it's 6 yards a carry as a team, including Hogan. It's more than adequate to get the job done on a really nice, pleasant Saturday with a crowd that probably wasn't out of its seats a lot, but went home happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's almost like 2 seasons at this point. We had this first little mini season of 3 games, and now bye week, and then into the meat of the schedule at this point. So I guess, how do you feel moving into that, heading on the road?
Well, again, until such time as we show offensive productivity against a really quality opponent where we're under pressure. I mean, these have not been pressure games except for the SC game, and our defense was great. Offense struggled. We made some mistakes. Like to see us go, on the road in a tough environment and show the ability to stick it to the other team in the red zone. That's all we want.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, we're pretty much ready to travel, I would argue. The defense certainly looks ready. Position group by position group on offense, we feel pretty good. And I think Coach Shaw alluded to that in the press conference as well. Just close. Close is the word he keeps using to describe the offense. And I guess he's got 2 weeks to get there and no longer be close.
Well, it's been 3 games, lots of changes. We don't want to nitpick this team. The reality is they did everything under normal circumstances. If there hadn't been last week, we'd be perfectly happy right now.
Exactly.
35-0, never threatened, rolling at home, second shutout in 3 games. There would be nothing at all to complain about. But this, heightened expectations. The bar is up. We want to see really great things. And today we saw some nice individual performances, but what can you say? Football is entertainment. Today was getting the job done.
Yeah, the word all week for me has been homework. I guess this game, it had to be played, it had to be won, and it was. And I also think that they at least got a chance to work on a lot of different things. We saw 5 wide in the red zone. Right. We saw a lot of different formations that in the past were rarities that are, I think, becoming more commonplace given the personnel. 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back was out there and featured a lot, especially early. And for a team trying to find itself, there was value in that today.
So at the beginning of the year, if you'd said we were going to incorporate the tight ends, we were going to run the ball reasonably effectively, we were going to get the ball to Ty Montgomery and Devin Kajust, be pretty happy.
There was no if. In fact, we did say that. We spent a lot of time, a lot of podcast hours.
The fall preview.
Thank you for summing up 8 podcasts in 30 seconds. But in any case, it's a win. It's that, and let's move on. Time for Washington bye week, and then it gets real.
Got to give some kudos to Lance Anderson and the defense for, if anything, it's a tough turnaround, right? It's a tough turnaround going against an option team. We've been burned by option teams in the past. I mean, it's not easy, even for an athletic quality defense, to turn around and see something completely different that you haven't had a chance to prepare for. We're not going to have to see this. This was not the hurry-up offense. It was the lateral option. You know, you're trying to decide, hit that quarterback, hit the fullback. It's a different set of decisions, but our guys handled it well.
Yeah, I think they absolutely did, and I think you can just compare it to last year. I mean, Army put up some legit numbers last year against Stanford with this very same offense, and today there was no daylight. It wasn't going to happen for them.
No, it wasn't being allowed, and part of that, they say a healthy Henry Anderson up front, throwing people around. It was last year against Army that he suffered an injury, and that caused him to be out for a number of games. That was really one of that, along with Ben Gardner. Those were some of the big disappointments injury-wise for Stanford. But to get out of here healthy, in one piece, take a rest now, come back hopefully with a little bit of fire in the belly.
Absolutely. That's for me, that's the biggest thing I think moving forward. You go on the road, you want to see a football team that's in a bad mood. I mean, that's the way Stanford's won. That's been the attitude on the defense, and if that attitude creeps over into the offense, then I think they can be the team that we expect them to be.
Well, I'm looking here, and Stanford and Army combined for a grand total of 5 penalties for 50 yards. I think that was about the first series in the USC exchange. Where I think we were at 19 penalties or something. I think we might have even hit on 20 last week, but you're talking about a quarter of the penalties we saw in last week's game. It just wasn't as ugly, but as you say, it wasn't as angry, and that's one of the things we look forward in future games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a part of Stanford's success in the last 4 years, is just, the character and the cruelty, every other cliche that you want to throw out there, but it's been a part of it. I mean, teams expect a tough physical team when they play us.
So what about you, RJ? Are you feeling physical enough?
Well, I think there's a Pop Warner game that just finished up around here. I'm pretty sure I could have taken just about any of them, but I think we're going to limit it there.
Well, RJ and I sat here arguing over whether the defensive line was getting any push out of these 9 and 10-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a breakdown later of the Pop Warner affair that you just saw. A lot more competitive than the Stanford Army game, but for the moment, everybody's happy.
Well, RJ, thanks very much. Good day all around for the Cardinal, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great.